So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are all doing great. I hope you're having a fun team of the year. I hope you're all getting the packs that you want, you know. I hope everything's going great for you guys. Anyway though, in today's video we have some 4-2-4 custom tactics. Now the reason I like this formation, to be honest, is it's like a hybrid between the 4-2-2 and the 4-4-2. It's super aggressive, but it can also be pretty solid defensively when you get it set up right. And yeah, it's actually a pretty good formation. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Please be sure to drop this video a thumbs up, as it does really help me out with the YouTube search. And yeah, let's get right into the video, guys. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Okay then guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for the 4-2-4. For the defensive style, I still like to have this on balanced as always. The reason I like balanced is because it does give me the best control over my defense. So if I want to press my opponent and be super aggressive, for example, I can do that. And then if I want to drop off and maybe be a little bit more passive in my approach, I can also do that. So balance gives me a better balance, and it gives me more variety in my defending, so I don't feel I feel more in control essentially. Sorry, I lost what I was trying to say there. But yeah, you can pretty much have whatever you want regardless. Moving on to the defensive width, guys, I have this on 40 because I think it's important to be primarily narrow and compact in your defense, so your opponent can't just play right through the middle of you and get easy chances. It's important, however, to not lower the width too much, because you still need to have some width in the defense to cover the wider areas in case an opponent goes down the wing, which, let's be honest guys, that is all 90% of players do. So this is really balanced. You know, you get good coverage of both the narrow and the wider areas, which is why I like it. You can mess around with this though if you please. For the depth, guys, you do have a few different options, to be honest. Now what a lot of people like to do is go for this 71 depth option. Now, the reason people go for this 71 depth option is because you get this automatic press from the AI. Makes it very difficult for your opponent to play through because everything's like super congested and marked by the AI. You don't really have to do much. Now, somebody like me, I don't like this because I don't feel like you have enough control when you're using it. As somebody that likes to manually defend, it feels too automatic and I feel like I'm not in control. So I prefer something like 60, where I still have that higher defensive line that you would if you use 71 depth, but you have a bit more control over when and where you press your opponent. So, you know, it just makes it a bit more manual and a bit better for me. If this is still too high for you, however, you can lower it even more. Moving on to the build-up play, guys, I do recommend balance because I find it to be the most consistent and the most varied form of build-up. So when you use balance, guys, you can pick and choose when and where you use each type of build-up. So if you want to start off building up slowly, for example, you can do that. And then if you want to speed up, you can also do that. So it allows you to pick and choose, which is really, really nice, and I do highly recommend it, guys. Now, moving on to chance creation, I very much suggest direct passing. Now, the reason direct passing is so important is because it's the most meta option in the game. When you use direct passing, your attackers will commit these runs, the defenders will follow the run that the attacker's made, and then once the defender's committed, the attacker will track back so you can cut back to them. So it's a really overpowered tactic, even though it is a little bit boring. Another thing about it is your attackers often bunch up against the opposition defenders, meaning it's very easy to isolate a specific player and take him on in a 1v1 play. So direct passing is an absolute must in my opinion. Moving on to the width, guys, I've never been big on high widths until this year, and the reason I'm big on it this year is because you kind of have to be. You know, playing through the middle can be very tough, very difficult with all the pressure tactics and things which go on. So it's important to have a higher width, especially with a formation like the 4-2-4 where you rely on its width to attack a lot of the time. 60 width has been really nice for me. You know, you get really good width so you can run down the wing, but you also still have a little bit of that space in the middle, so you can sometimes go through the middle as well. So this has been really balanced. Me personally, I would like to have it a little bit lower, but I don't really think it's possible in this game. For the players in the box, guys, I have this on 5, bang in the middle. This is so we can get a few players into the box, but we don't overcommit everybody to the point where we're going to get counter-attacked if we lose the ball. And then the corners and the free kicks, guys, this is a preference thing, but I just have them both on 1. Just do whatever you like with that. Now, moving on to the player instructions, guys. On this left striker here, I have him on stay central and mixed attack. Now, we have him on stay central because we don't really want him drifting out into the wider areas. We already have wingers in this formation, so we don't need our strikers going out into those areas. We want them to be in the middle so they can be relied upon, and we don't have our strikers going doolally on the wing. I also have him on mixed attack because I feel like you get more out of him on mixed attack, you know. Sometimes they'll come short, other times they'll run in behind. You just get a bit more freedom, a bit more fluidity in your attack, which is why I do recommend it. On the other striker, however, I have him on stay central for the exact same reasons as the other striker, where we don't really want him drifting out wide, but I also have him on get in behind. This is so we always have at least one striker running in behind to get as many chances as possible. So for example, if this striker's running in behind, sometimes this striker might be coming short so they can play the through ball to them, you know, something like that. If you want to have them both on getting behind because that is what you prefer, you can do that in the same way as if you want to have them on mixed attack, you can do that as well. So just do whatever is easiest for you guys. Moving on to both of the wingers, guys, the right winger and the left winger, we have them on come back on defence, cut inside, getting behind and get into the box for cross. Now, come back on defence is very important with this formation because it is super attacking with its shape naturally. So if you look at it, you've got 4 attackers, then you've got only 2 midfielders, which means there is a lot of space out wide because we've only got 2 centre mids there and they can't cover all that space. So by putting these left wingers and right wingers on come back on defence, it will make it defend in more of a 4-4-2 shape. So Rodrigo here will come back to defend as a right mid for me, and Dembele will come back to defend as a left mid for me. This means we'll plug in all of those spaces on the wing so the opponent cannot get through the middle with the 2 centre mids, and they also can't get down the wing with the 2 right mids and left mids. So, you know, it's very effective and makes this formation much more balanced than it would be by default. We also have them on cut inside because it means they'll start their runs out wide and then make this really nice movement where they'll like cut in and make an inverted run, which is really hard for the AI to mark. So this is an attacking AI movement I really like, but you don't have to use it if you don't want, of course. We also have this player on getting behind, of course, as well, both the wingers, because we want them to utilize their pace. You know, they are wingers after all, so we don't want them to be static. We do actually want them to move, so this allows them to do that. And then we do have them on get into the box for cross as well, so they do commit into the penalty area. Doesn't mean you have to cross the ball, by the way. It just means they'll initiate the run. You can just play it on the floor, for example. But yeah, they're what I have on the wingers. For the left centre mid, guys, my more defensive-minded midfielder, I have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. Pretty self-explanatory. We don't want this guy going forward if he is the more defensive-minded midfielder. It's important to have at least one stay back midfielder to bring that balance in the midfield. So Tchouaméni is that guy for me. And then cover centre, so they primarily cover those central areas. As like I said, we don't need them to cover the wing now, as we've got the wingers coming back to cover those spaces, so they can focus on covering the middle. Now, for the right centre mid, guys, I use a more box-to-box style player, somebody that will attack and defend and have a bit of a free roll. So on this player, we leave them on the default settings and then just pop them on cover center as well. Default settings because we don't really want to restrict them all that much, you know. They have a bit of freedom. We don't really want to make them do specific things. We kind of just let them do what they need to be useful, essentially. So we leave them alone and then cover center for the same reason as the other center mid, where they'll primarily cover the central areas as we don't need them to cover the wing. Moving on to the fullbacks, guys. Now, whichever fullback is your most attacking one, it could be a left back, could be a right back, doesn't matter. I suggest just popping them on balance. Now, the reason I like this is because it does just give you another option in attack. Sometimes with any formation you use, if you don't have any of your fullbacks going forward, you can sometimes lack options, especially width and stuff like that. And it's just really useful to send one of these fullbacks forward. Now, in a lot of formations, like the narrow ones, I'll have them on overlap because we really desperately need them to add that width. But in a formation like the 4-2-4 where we already have wingers, sometimes we want them to underlap because the winger might stay out wide, and then other times where the winger cuts inside, we might want them to overlap. So it makes them pick and choose which one is best for the scenario. For the other fullback, guys, the more defensive one, again, doesn't matter which one it is, just stay back while attacking, so you always have at least 3 defenders back at a time. Makes you nice and defensively sound, so I think that's very important. For the 2 centre-backs, guys, I leave them alone, of course, and the keeper, if you want, you can pop them on comes for crosses and sweep a keeper, but you don't have to. I just leave them alone. And yeah, guys, that is it for the video. If you have enjoyed or found it useful, please be sure to drop it a like, as it does really help me out. Sub to the channel if you are new, and yeah, don't forget to turn on those notifications. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.